for Buffalo, New York, so I think I've got 2 votes in here. You can't vote. Thank you all very, very much for inviting me here today. I think everyone could probably hear me. As my late father used to say, honey, you may be short, but they're always going to hear you. So I'm not going to stand behind. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
So, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm down here. Listen, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I think, what was a very, very exciting 2010 election. And one of the reasons it was exciting is, I think, because of folks like yourself. We elected a lot of very young, energetic, inspiring candidates this year to Congress, governor's mansions. If you look at our good friend, Senator Marco Rubio, Senator-elect, soon to be, Senator Rubio. If you looked at Kristi Noem, another wonderful candidate, and Jamie Herrera out in Washington, those are great candidates that we were able to elect to the U.S. House and to the U.S. Congress, and very, very proud of that. I started out in politics in Buffalo, New York, and I don't want you to laugh, but I started as a teenage Republican. And I came very much like Saul. I came from a blue-collar, very, very conservative, Democratic union household that was extremely Catholic. So Catholic, my grandparents lived upstairs, we lived downstairs. And then I met Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton worked for, his dad was the judge for family court, which they don't even have in New York. They don't even have in New York anymore. We started working on campaigns in Buffalo, New York, and I'm unfortunately not happy to say we lost all of those races. But that was back in the 70s. But we kept plugging away. I then went on to college and did an internship at the National Republican Congressional Committee, at which time Bill Paxton informed me that he was going to stay in Buffalo and run for local office, which he did, and he did successfully, probably because I wasn't managing it. I then went back to run Bill's congressional race. Jack Kemp was leaving and running for president, and Bill Paxton had got the nod to run for Congress. He called me up and he said, Maria, I want you to come home. I want you to run this race. I said no 3 times. He called my mother. My mother said, you are coming home to run this race. So being a good Italian, I did in fact do that. I reminded Bill that we lost all of our races together. But this is a great story of where we had Bill Paxton, who you think, well, this is a conservative Republican district. We represented a significant portion of Buffalo, which is not very conservative and not very Republican. But it goes to show with a young, articulate, attractive candidate who's smart and is willing to work hard. We were elected with 54% of the vote in 1988. So we did an absolutely outstanding job in electing Bill Paxton to Congress. And at that time, after 2 years in Congress, that Bill decided that we were going to run for NRCC chairman. And like 2 kids from Buffalo, we thought, oh my God, we just hit the jackpot. We're going to go from a staff of 20 to a staff across the street of like 80 or 90, and we're actually going to have a field organization and so forth. When we finally got to the NRCC, unfortunately, we were told there was a $2 million debt, which in 1993 times is a lot of money. Well, it actually turned out it was nearly $5 million in debt when you looked at the accounts payable. And I like to say that's where I got my MBA program. What we did is we went in, because I had to keep dropping out of this campaign, but we went in and we made really tough decisions. We made the tough decisions of taking a staff from 88 to 56 to 36 and ultimately 26. I hired young people that would come in and work around the clock, and literally that's what they did. We had 26 people. We were so broke, we actually we didn't have the bank count our money. We used to bring the money to the NRCC and actually do what we called our paging program at the NRCC. But again, through a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, we turned that committee around with fewer staffers. We tightened up our belt, and we decided that we were only going to do essential functions. For example, we were doing actualities that should have been done in congressional offices. We decided that if a member wasn't able to do a $25 toggle vote and do a actuality in his office, then maybe they shouldn't be elected. We got rid of the things that didn't matter, and we only did 3 essential things to help members get elected. In addition to that, we brought the members into the NRCC. Jim Nussel, you might remember Jim Nussel, he recruited all our candidates because we couldn't afford a field person that was able to go out and actually recruit candidates. So he'd come over, make calls. John Boehner, now the Speaker of the House, soon to be, John Boehner headed up one of our major fundraising operations and put us back on the map with regard to getting some cash. You have to remember, in '93, we lost the White House, we didn't have the Senate, and we hadn't had the House in 42 years. Anyway, it was a wonderful opportunity for me. And the reason I tell you that is 2 kids from Buffalo did pretty darn well. Going in, taking a committee that was nearly bankrupt, turning it around in 42 years, then going on to elect a Republican majority, a 52-seat pickup, and then keeping that the next 2 years, and really transforming the National Republican Congressional Committee. And I guess that's one of the reasons that I decided to throw my hat in for RNC chairman. I think we have to do the same thing at the RNC. We really have to look at the RNC and really transform, restructure, and get out of debt. Because 2012, as I said this morning, for those of you who are in the room, we are going to be up against $1 billion. That is a big $1 billion campaign. That's a lot of money. But that's what Barack Obama is going to raise, and that's what he's going to throw at us. And I think given my past experience of getting us out of debt and transforming the NRCC, going on to a victory, I think in reorganizing, right-sizing the committee, doing only essential functions, and then maybe doing some of the tech stuff that I came in and we were all talking about. Maybe some of that stuff is stuff that we really shouldn't be doing at the committee. Maybe there's better people outside the committee. There's experts that can do this. But we have to put everything on the table and move forward. Because again, $1 billion is a lot of money that we're going to have to compete with for the 2012 elections. I'm glad that you're all here in this room because I hope that some of you will be volunteers, some of you will be employees, and some of you will be candidates, because that's how we make majorities. And if you would have ever asked me if this kid from Buffalo was ever going to run for anything, I'd tell you I was going to run from everything. But I am here tonight. I am running. I think that I am uniquely qualified for the position. I've had a lot of experience. But I think in closing, what I would say is I have been blessed with people for 3 decades. 3 decades of running campaigns, running presidentials, working at campaign committees, and working at agencies that I have been able to mentor and bring along because somebody did that for me. And I would ask each of you to do that in your own stead, to mentor somebody and bring them along. I came from a Democrat household. I'm happy to say that when I became a Republican, when I turned 18, I brought everyone with me, including my dad, who decided to register in the Right to Life Party. So, from Buffalo, New York, with love, thank you very, very much for having me here tonight. But again, I urge you to stay interested, stay involved. You're the next generation of Republican leaders, along with the ones that I mentioned that were just elected. Some of us are elected, some of us are worker bees, but you all need to stay involved. And we need to grow our numbers as we go into 2012. We're going to need that. Thank you all very, very, very much. And I think you might have some questions. Don't make them hard, I'm tired.